Speaker, I begin by expressing on behalf of the people of the Cootamundra electorate that I represent our deepest condolences to the victims of the horrific terror attack in Bondi, their families, loved ones, and to all of those who have been affected. Our thoughts are also with the first responders, health workers, and community members who acted with courage and compassion in the face of such violence. I am opposed to the Terror and Other Legislation Amendment Bill 2025, based on Schedules 2 and 3, which propose significant changes to the Firearms Act 1996. These changes will have serious consequences for lawful firearms owners across rural and regional New South Wales, including in my electorate of Cootamundra. That electorate lies many hours from Sydney, where the horrific events that have prompted this bill occurred. While those events demand a serious and thoughtful response, this legislation has been brought forward at speed with insufficient consideration of the practical impacts and contains provisions that are flawed and poorly targeted. The Bondi terror attack was horrifying. It was a violent act driven by hatred and anti-Semitism. We owe the people of New South Wales measures that target the drivers of hate and terror, not measures that scapegoat lawful people who continue to do the right thing. In my electorate of Cootamundra, families are doing what families on the land have always done: protecting livestock, controlling pests, and getting on with the job of earning a living. They do it under some of the strictest firearm laws in the world. These are hard-working, law-abiding people. Schedule 2 makes significant changes to how firearms are classified, moving entire classes of currently lawful firearms from one category to another is not a minor adjustment. It represents a fundamental change to the firearms framework, and its practical impact will fall most heavily on regional and rural users, including farmers managing pests and animal welfare, and those legally contracted to assist them. Schedule 2 inserts a new Section 8A that imposes a numerical cap on the number of firearms a licensee may possess across all licence categories. For primary production, it sets the cap at 10. For sport or target shooting, it sets it at the greater of 10 or a number approved by the Commissioner under regulations. And for other licence holders, it sets the cap at 4. Dealers and collectors are exempt. This is one of the most damaging and least defensible elements of Schedule 2. A cap, a number written into law, regardless of the size of your farm, the nature of your pest problem, or the tools you need to manage animals and protect your livelihood humanely. For many people in the city, a cap might sound neat and tidy. But in the real world, on real farms, that is not how things work. A farmer might need different firearms for different purposes, used safely and lawfully. This bill treats that reality like it doesn't exist. Schedule 2 repeals Section 6B altogether, which currently provides exemptions for unlicensed persons shooting on approved ranges under supervision, and for people undertaking firearms safety courses under supervision. That is, it removes a supervised pathway that is explicitly designed around safety, structured training, and controlled environments. In our electorate, clubs are not just sporting venues. They are community institutions, many of which have existed for over 100 years, such as the Cootamundra Rifle Club, established in 1888, and the Ungary Rifle Club, established in 1921. They are run by volunteers. Removing the P650 process simply makes no sense. Schedule 2 amends deceased estate provisions so executors must comply with nominated arrangements, and it authorises a police officer to seize a firearm that is the subject of the notification to the Commissioner. Members should reflect on what that means in practice. Death is already a difficult time for families. Estates already have legal frameworks. This bill adds a new pre-planning obligation for every licensee, then overlays it with enforcement settings that will create confusion and distress, especially in regional and rural areas where the tyranny of distance already makes access to dealers, transport and administrative support more difficult. Schedule 2 ties the issue of licences and permits to Australian citizenship, with limited exceptions for certain New Zealand citizens and any classes prescribed by regulation. It also adds citizenship conditions to interstate recognition and interstate residents moving to New South Wales. The bill also provides that existing licences or permits held by non-Australian citizens cease to have effect from the commencement of this legislation, and states that no compensation is payable. Why the government did not pursue these citizenship changes through a regulatory change is absolutely beyond me. Schedule 2 inserts a new condition into Section 19 so that licensees must be a member of a club approved by the Commissioner unless exempted by regulation. This is not a small matter. There are already genuine reason frameworks in the Act where club membership is relevant to particular reasons, such as sport and target shooting. But this change takes a long-standing, targeted concept and turns it into a broad condition, with exemptions to be sorted out later in the regulation. That is not good lawmaking. Schedule 2 reduces the general term of a licence to 2 years. Whatever view members take about renewal cycles in theory, in practice, this will increase the workload for the Firearms Registry, increase costs and administrative burden for lawful licensees, and risk delays and processing errors. If the government's priority is public safety, it should focus on capability and enforcement, not paper churning at the Firearms Registry. Schedule 2 scraps NCAT review pathways and then goes further by providing that any application made to the tribunal and not finally determined before the commencement of this legislation is taken to have been withdrawn. This goes to the issue of basic fairness. Independent reviews exist for a reason. They protect the public from errors, protect individuals from arbitrary decision-making, and strengthen confidence in our system of government. There are other measures to deal front-on with terror and anti-Semitism, and to strengthen community safety without rushing through a bill that dramatically reshapes the lawful firearms regime in New South Wales. Schedule 2 of the bill is not just too broad, too blunt, and too rushed, it is entirely unnecessary. And that brings me to what I believe sits underneath all of this for the people that I represent across the Cootamundra electorate, whether they have a firearms licence or own firearms or not. There is no trust left in this government on issues like this, because people in the regions have watched this pattern again and again. They have watched decisions made here in Macquarie Street through a city lens and with city assumptions about how people live. They have watched government talk about consultation and then ignore what they are told. They have watched bureaucratic processes become heavier and heavier, while the practical realities of rural life are dismissed as inconvenience. When a government does not understand rural and regional communities, it ends up treating us like a problem to manage, not part of New South Wales to respect. And this bill reeks of that attitude. It is not right to punish lawful people for the actions of criminals. It is not right to pass major reform at speed without properly bringing the community along. It is another attack on rural and regional New South Wales. May I seek a short extension, please?
The question is the member's time be extended. All that opinion say aye. To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.
This is another message from a city-centric government that says we know best, while proving once again that it does not understand the lives of the people who feed and clothe this state. The people who keep our towns running and who raise families far from the services and the safety nets that city residents often take for granted. If the government wants to protect the community, it should bring forward reforms that are targeted, evidence-based, properly consulted, and aimed at the real causes of violence and extremism. But this bill, and particularly Schedule 2, is not that. It is unfair, and I fear it will deepen the divide between the city and the country at the very moment when we need unity. In closing, I acknowledge the local shooting clubs across my electorate who took time over the weekend to share practical advice and local experience before the legislation was even available in a draft format. These are volunteer-run clubs. They are serious about safety, training and compliance, and they are part of the fabric of regional communities. In particular, I thank the Cowra Pistol Club, the West Wyalong Target Club, the Junee Ex-Services Memorial Rifle Club, the Grenfell Gun Club, the Junee Clay Target Club, the West Wyalong Small Bore and Air Rifle Club, the Cootamundra Rifle Club, Ungary Rifle Club, Cowra Gun Club, Burrell and Clay Target Club, Burrawa Clay Target Club, and the Ganmain Gun Club. I also want to acknowledge the quiet assistance of a friend known as Chapo. He has given his time generously and shared his experience thoughtfully at all hours. His background spans rural New South Wales, frontline policing, fire safety training, and decades of lawful and responsible firearm use. I have valued his guidance greatly, and I could not have made this contribution here today without his help. I oppose this bill, and I urge other members of this place to follow suit.
Yeah.